have recently, as of recording this video, come back from a trip from South Africa with college. It was bloody amazing, gonna get right to the point. Amazing. First off, it was 4 or 5 days in Kruger National Park at Pretoria Scott Camp. And then went to Maholo Hollow for about 4 days. And went to, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of these names, Kamai Reptile Park, Hood's Cheetah Breeding Centre, and the Maholo Hollow Rehab Centre. And then went next day, back into Johannesburg, went to the Pretoria Zoo for the day, and got back on a plane. The way these trips work, there was quite a few of us going, at least 100 of us going. So we were split into 3 groups. 2 of the groups were going on a trip slightly longer. They were back on the 2nd of June. And my trip that I went on was a slightly shorter one that was back on the 31st of May. So, for me, that was yesterday. I'm not jet lagged. There were 11 people in my group with the shorter trip. And people on the longer trip were split into 2 groups, A and B. I was Group C. Kruger was amazing. If you ever have the chance to go to Kruger National Park, do it. It's brilliant. The room I was staying in was not exactly huge. I think about the same size as my room. And I was sharing it with someone. Because we were in a small group, I didn't really know anyone in my group. No, I knew a couple of people, that was about it. And I had never had the lecturers before who were going with us. So it was a bit interesting at first, but got on well. I don't have any photos or video things of what happened while we were there because I didn't bring a camera. I was meant to ask my sister, or I could have asked my dad. I didn't do that because I don't have a still camera of my own. I couldn't bring this camera because it only records for an hour. It only has enough memory for an hour, which is stupid, I think. And so I didn't bring a laptop with me to dump all the videos off onto, so wouldn't have worked. I'd have run out of footage. I've run out of space footage within 3 days, easy. We got there. We were pretty tired, so went to bed early. And next day, well, my group was split into 2 to make things easier to go who goes in what game van, etc., etc. Because the game vehicles we were using only enough space for about 9 people. So it was easy to split us roughly in half, and 1 lecturer going in each van. First week, my half of the group had an early morning game drive, and you would not believe this, first animal we saw that wasn't an impala, which, for those who don't know, is pretty much like the sheep or rabbits of the African bush, was a wild dog. I'm going to put this into perspective for you. A African wild dog, or African hunting dog, is Africa's most endangered predator. Wrap your head around that for a second. That was the first big thing we saw. We had been out of the park, we went out of our camp for less than a minute. And there they were, just sitting by the side of the road. It wasn't even light, it was 6 o'clock in the morning. What is this? We kept on coming across them for about an hour or so afterwards. We weren't following them. We actively left them several times to let other people sort of have a look at them, to drive up and have a look. And then about 5 minutes later, we just look to the side and see movement and just go, it's the dogs again, isn't it? It got to the point where it's going so nonchalant about these dogs who are practically following us. We found their den, I think. There was this one where a clearly pregnant female was going to, a pile of rocks. And we assume that they found their den. I'm assuming it's their birthing den, because the female's pregnant. We saw so much that first day. It was crazy. Like, on the way back, we were running late to go back to the camp because the gates close at 5:30. I don't know what time it was, but we're running late. We got in about 2 minutes past. On the way back, though, sable antelope. Sable antelope! What the hell? That's just a day for seeing rare animals, isn't it? Because sable antelope, let me put that into perspective, I don't know what they are on the red list, but they're pretty freaking endangered, I'm sure. And we saw so much. We practically saw 4 of the big 5 on the first day. It was nuts. We saw elephants, first off. Obviously, they're the big 5. But, my friend has a picture of them. They were crossing the road. My friend has a picture of them just, like, Abbey Road style. There's 3 elephants, like, Abbey Road. all we need to do now is Photoshop a zebra crossing underneath them and we're good. Also saw a giraffe. We saw a giraffe fighting, which was pretty cool. Because if you don't know, giraffes sort of fight. Say these two are giraffes, and my sticking out fingers are like the horns, and say this is their necks. They sort of go like this into the side of each other, whack, and you could hear it. You could hear their heads connecting with each other. That's probably not the best demonstration of a giraffes fighting, but you get the picture. We also learnt the way to tell the difference between male and female giraffes. Female giraffes have slightly thinner horns, and they've got fur on them. Males have thicker horns and they're bald. Just like human men. We saw lions. We got a tip off earlier that day about the lions, that they were by the side of the road, how can I explain this? Having a saucy time. See, I can explain that? Having a saucy time. We found them. Thankfully they'd finished. Because I don't know why you're doing that by the side of the road, but fine. Whatever you're into. But yeah, we found them. They were sort of lying in the sun because it was around at midday. And just going, like the lions do. I don't think we saw buffalo on the first day. We didn't see buffalo on the first day, saw them the next day. That next day, like early bushwalk, I had to get up at 4:45 in the morning to leave at 5:15. I was telling this woman about the wild dogs, because my friend was someone I was sharing with was in the other half of the group, and she didn't have to get up for the bushwalk that morning, so I was trying to be careful and not wake her up so I did bite teeth in the shower block. Now this woman there, we got talking, as you do, because South Africans are really quite friendly, and we started talking. I tell her about the wild dogs. Her face drops. She just could not believe it. There have been people searching for 5 years for these guys, and we were looking not even 5 minutes. We didn't see much on the bushwalk. We saw rhino poo, black rhino poo, because there's a difference between black and white rhino, but it's not the colour, it's the shape of their mouths, because white rhino is a mistranslation. It's supposed to be wide rhino, because like wide-mouthed rhino, because white rhinos have a wide mouth because they graze, whilst black rhinos have a more pointed mouth, I guess, because they're browsers, they eat bushes. Also saw some female kudu off the distance. They ran off pretty quickly. That was about it. It was a 3-hour bushwalk. We saw a couple of kudu, but hey. We didn't see cheetah. We didn't see wild cheetah, which was a disappointment, but that's fine. Warthog. We were singing Hakuna Matata for quite a long time after that. I still got it in my head. Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze. Wildebeest, although I've still got the Afrikaans pronunciation in my head, it's wildebeest? Beast? I'm sorry if any of you speak Afrikaans and I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, I'm sorry. We saw a leopard on the last possible day. We were going from one part of Kruger to the other so we could leave, go into Mahola Hollow. And we'd given up, really, on finding leopards. We'd heard reports of leopard cubs playing on some rocks, and we searched those rocks for ages, we couldn't find any. From the game vehicle, we weren't allowed to get out. And then, driving along, see this sort of group of cars standing around going, okay, what's got them so interested? A leopard walks across the road. I'm not joking. A leopard just walks calmly across the road. What? I mean, yes, great, we saw the big five, but also saw a hyena and her cub. It was so cute. Saw a hippo, one of the most memorable hippos I'll ever meet, because he had 3 terrapins on his head. So he had a terrapin headdress. We also found a terrapin sort of in the middle of the road. So far away from the lake, we found a terrapin. Just randomly, there was a terrapin. So we got to make jokes, because with the hippo, so every now and again it would dive down. 2 of the terrapin would detach from his head and start sort of swimming. And then the other one would just sort of stand there going, "Hi guys, I'm still on! I don't need to swim!" So I just made jokes about, it's like, Terrapin 1, Terrapin 2, we're diving, dive. Terrapin 3, what on earth are you doing? It's alright, Terrapin 1, I'm still attached! Terrapin 4, come in, Terrapin 4! Guys, I'm a little bit lost. Terrapin 4, repeat. Share your location. There's trees. And no water. Oh god! That's just stuff like that. It just made on jokes like that. It was pretty funny. End screen time thing. Over somewhere, I haven't organised a screen yet, so I'm going to point in random directions and I hope it's right. Somewhere over this way should be links to my main channel, my Let's Play channel. Down here should be links to my Twitter and DeviantArt. So yeah, it means no worries for the rest of your days. It's a problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.